Hi, welcome to the video. This man was truly a man who changed the world. I just can't stress that enough. I really won't be able to cover everything that he did because there was just so much that he ended up doing throughout his life. Anyway, let's talk about Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was born January 4th, 1643. His father died 3 months before he was born, and he was separated from his mother when he was 3 because the person she remarried with didn't like Isaac. He was taken out of education when he was 12 to work on his parents' farm. Yes, Sir Isaac Newton, the great scientist, the person who came up with so many different things, worked on a farm. You can guess how that went. Luckily, Isaac's uncle actually saw how smart he was and decided to get him into Cambridge University. Surprisingly, Isaac Newton didn't actually graduate with any type of honors or anything, but because of how Cambridge University was, he actually started to question the world around him. After taking a hiatus due to a plague, he actually got his Master of Arts degree when he was just 27 years old. I'll get into the next few years of his life through the facts section because the majority of his life was about his accomplishments and his achievements. But I will say this, the apple falling from the tree is kind of false. What actually happened was, while on hiatus, he returned to his mother's farm, and when he went back there, he saw an apple fall from a tree and was curious as to why the apple actually fell straight down from the tree rather than at an angle. For most scientists and other people, big people in the world in history, they usually have that one moment that kind of cements them in the history books. Well, to be known as the father of modern science, you kind of have to do a lot, and Isaac Newton really did do a lot. First, in 1668, he developed the reflecting telescope, which was actually different than the refracting telescope most people used at that time. The reflecting one is actually one that we use still today. It's kind of the main concept. This invention got him noticed by the Royal Society, which is pretty much a place where a whole bunch of smart people, doctors, scientists, lawyers, they all kind of went there to collaborate. He actually, near the end of his life, for 24 years, he served as the president of the Royal Society. We'll get into that a little bit later. Next, he proposed a new theory of light and colors by using prisms. He saw that light could be separated from the various different colors and then recombined into those same colors. He actually did this when he was really young still. He actually figured this out when he was 24, but he actually didn't release it until his book Optics came out in 1704, which is way later. Now, I think this next part's kind of funny. So Isaac Newton was working on different mathematical equations talking about how the Earth rotates around the sun and how all that kind of works together. And he figured out that the math at that time wasn't actually good enough to figure out why the planets rotated how they did. So what did he do? Well, what any normal person would do, he just invented calculus. A lot of people don't give him credit for creating calculus, but he did it first before anybody else. He just didn't release his findings until somebody else had already figured it out and released them. This next little bit's going to be a little bit of quick fire because there was a lot that he did. He set the English gold standard and got them off to silver standard while he was head of the mint. He was really interested in alchemy, and a lot of his thoughts and processes actually created the modern form of chemistry that we know today. Oh, and did I mention that he kind of created these little laws called the 3 laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation? Yeah, he also did that. That last part is nothing to gloss over, but everybody watching this has probably already heard about those, so there's no need in me going in detail. I really always looked up to Isaac Newton. When I was going through school, I learned about him. He was such a smart and awesome man. I really do look up to him even today. But in doing research for his video, I really found out who he really was as a person. He was kind of mean to everyone. When he ruled the Royal Society, a lot of people called him as a dictator, trying to get other people's work out and giving ungodly amounts of control to himself. He was also really nervous about criticism. When people would criticize him, he would get super defensive and just get really angry, and sometimes, with some of his rivals, delete them from any text that he ever wrote. Honestly, that's probably why he released stuff so late into his life, because he was just nervous of criticism. Obviously, we know Isaac Newton never married, and he really never had any connections with people. He only had real connections with 2 girls throughout his life, his mom and his niece once he lived in London, but most of the time he was really isolated. He didn't really talk to people unless they came to talk to him. Honestly, it's a little depressing to hear that, but I'm happy he was so focused on his work. look on the bright side of things. Even though he had so many faults, the world chose to remember him for truly a great man. Like, he really was a great guy who did so much to advance our knowledge of science. If you liked the video and you want to learn more, check the description down below. All the links that I use to figure out this kind of stuff, go ahead and go read them. There's a lot more there than I could even cover. Make sure you like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Sir Isaac Newton, because I think he's a great guy, but you guys may have a different opinion. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.